Welcome back, guys. It is Uncle Skinny Reviews. We're the number one show on YouTube and on the entire internet dedicated to movie reviews. So it's great to be here, family, and welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Lots happened since last week's show. I was able to escape the basement, thankfully. Basically, a mailman had come by, and I screamed my lungs out. And I'm pretty sure I scared the living shit out of this guy, and he called the cops. But you know, the cops came and they were able to help me out. Of course, I'm back in the basement, which, you know, is kind of bringing back a lot of bad experiences for me. And it is freaking me out mentally and emotionally. But it is where I shoot the show. So I don't know. But it's freaking me out. And of course, you can see I got a new hairdo. And the burns are gone. Well, I have something real big to tell you guys. I was introduced to this beautiful, wonderful woman. And she leads a community of people, just wholesome people who have just showed me a new way of life. And she healed my burns. And the best thing, or the coolest thing, is that it turns out that she is in contact with alien life forms. A specific race of aliens, the Nordic aliens called let's see this pamphlet, the Pleiadians, and they're here to help humanity. And they showed me pictures of these aliens, and they look just like people. And you know what? The women are pretty, pretty nice. Some 9s and some 10s, I would even say. Big, ample breasts on the alien women. So basically, you know, they have this group and they teach lessons about how, meditating and a bunch of this shit. And they've just changed my life around. So I've joined this group. It's about $5,000 to get in. But then the first level, the first lesson is free. Then after that, the second level is like $2,000. Excuse me. And it goes on like that. And so I took out another loan from MoneyZap.com. So I'll be whipping through these levels and just kind of, getting in touch with all the universe and shit. And it's just absolutely amazing. And the reason I've shaved my head is because this the woman told me that everybody's got these transmitters in their head, almost like a radio. And it beams out a signal to these aliens, and you can kind of communicate with them, and they can give you sacred knowledge. But obviously, it's kind of you get a better signal if you shave your head. So everybody in the group, including the women, all have shaved heads, which is pretty interesting. And they all wear these beautiful white linen kind of robes. And mine is coming in the mail. And that was only $500 for the robes. So I'm waiting for the robes. Obviously, I've got just the turtleneck on, which is a bit unfortunate because it is sweltering in this heat. It's uncomfortable, but I don't have any other shirts. Okay, guys, getting to the movies today. First up, we have Cam, 2018, directed by Daniel Goldhaber, and it's available to stream right now on Netflix. Cam tells the story of Alice Ackerman, a tenacious young cam girl who aspires to be in the top 50 of this website. And she'll do anything to get there. And she starts putting on these elaborate shows. One show even, she fakes her suicide, but people love it, and she's inching closer and closer to the top 50. Suddenly, she goes online and sees that she's doing a live show, which is impossible. And she starts interacting with this imposter, and it looks exactly like her. The room she's in is exactly like her room. And after digging up some research, she finds that the top girls in this website have been deceased. And then it sets her on a quest to, figure out what the hell's going on. Cam is full of these interesting twists and turns, which keep us engaged in the movie. We definitely want to see how it all pans out, even though we're not really invested in these characters per se. The main character, the supporting characters here, neither exhibit behavior that's protagonistic or antagonistic. They just sort of exist. And going back to the twists and turns, if it is the strength of this movie, well, we have a couple dilemmas there too. Each sort of plot twist, and there is a lot, escalates dramatically from the next. And the problem is this movie is unconcerned with following through with any of the elements that it's building up. For example, we find out that these cam girls have died and they're dead. Okay. But then we find out from another source throughout the movie that it's sort of like a doppelganger sort of creature that's copying these women. So we're confused. I mean, is this a ghost story? Is this some just paranormal story? And the film never really answers any of those questions. We don't really know what this villain is. And it brings us to another massive dilemma in this movie. Motivation. When you're telling a story, it's characters, why we care about them. Even the villains, why we would hate them, is because of their motivations. And there seems to be a lack of motivation in this movie. Okay, Alice Ackerman, our main character, her motivation might be to, obviously it's to be in the top 50 on this website of the girls, for monetary reasons, for popularity, whatever. Pretty thin, sure, but we can accept that as a motivation. Now, if we look at the villain in this story, because villains need motivations too, there seems to be no reason why this entity would exist at all or behave the way it does. I mean, we have a supernatural being that, no offense, just aspires to copy webcam girls and put on webcam shows. See, what? And so as this movie kind of continues to unfold, it starts just getting into the territory of being kind of completely ridiculous. As far as the technical elements of this thing goes, everything's kind of just average. There's nothing really standing out in the crowd in this movie for being exceptional or even interesting. Cam right now has a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, a figure that I do not understand. Apparently it opened up at a couple film festivals and got great reception. I just don't understand it. If you've seen it and you can vouch for this movie, maybe you can lend me, some secrets that you found that I somehow missed. Otherwise, Cam gets a 4 out of 10 from me. Sure, it's engaging, and you'll probably watch the whole thing because it's definitely interesting. You want to see how it kind of comes together at the end, but once you get there, I think you're going to be disappointed. Next movie that we have for you guys today is A Tale of Two Sisters, 2004, directed by Kim Ji-woon, available to stream right now on Shudder. This movie does hail from Korea. It is in Korean, and you got to watch it with subtitles. We are introduced to two women in A Tale of Two Sisters. Sisters. They walk out of a car and come back home after being away for a while for being sick. They've been in a mental institution. It's implied. They reunite with their somber father and nagging stepmother. Resentments between the stepmother and the two young girls deepen, and as they deepen, strange spectral behavior around the house starts occurring, ultimately building to the movie's violent and psychologically compelling conclusion. Within the first 20 minutes of this movie, we're treated to some amazing cinematography, some great camera work, some great acting and dialogue, some great scoring to pair with it, and these technical elements only increase in their quality as the movie continues. Some of the shots and the camera work here just seem ahead of their time. This came out in 2004, but some of these sequences are so compelling and visually striking that I don't know how this movie kind of slipped under the radar for me as I'm just seeing it now. Apparently it's a cult classic, and I understand why. Sequences in this movie are Lynchian in their surrealness, and they're captivating in the way that they're portrayed both emotionally, physically, and mentally throughout this movie. And of course, probably the most compelling factor of this film is that it's ultimately fucking terrifying. It's been a while since I've seen a movie that actually chilled me to the bones and scared the shit out of me, and A Tale of Two Sisters did just that. And if you are a lover of horror movies or dabbled in the genre, I would say I definitely have to recommend it. A must-see, in fact. A Tale of Two Sisters gets a 9 out of 10 from me, and a special gold star of excellence in filmmaking. It is incredibly compelling. I think all the technical components are just superb, and it ultimately builds to a movie that's terrifying. And when I say terrifying, I mean it has the grim, atmospheric level of horror. It has the jump, the thrill scare. It has the gore appeal. It has all those elements that you want to see in a horror movie, and it's exactly the kind of horror movie that I want to see when I watch them. That's this week's show, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned. We have an exciting new chapter in my life and the show's life coming up ahead, so we hope you tune in next week for another Uncle Skinny review. Take care.